Hello and welcome to Journeys of Hope, a podcast from Blythedale Children's Hospital inspired by the strength, resilience, and unshakable spirit of medically fragile children. My name is Rebecca Solomon, and today I'm excited to welcome entrepreneur, social media expert, and philanthropist Tony Peck. Now, while many know Tony for building a successful business and an incredible network, we're especially grateful for his unwavering support of Blythedale Children's Hospital through the annual Impact Golf Outing, which has brought together thousands of people to help children and families in our community. Tony, welcome to Journeys of Hope.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be on here with you today, Rebecca.
We're so happy to have you, and we have a lot to get to. Let's go back in time to when you were a kid, right? You grew up in a blue-collar family in the Bronx, and your father told you you can achieve anything you put your mind to. How has that message shaped the way you've built your career and your life?
It's so interesting because as you get older, you start to realize certain things. And one of the things I didn't realize in that moment was my father telling me that line every day, before he dropped me off for school, right before a basketball game, whatever the case was, he was saying it to me, but I don't think he fully believed in those exact words, as if, want to be a good father, motivate me. You can't achieve anything you put your mind to. But if I told him, Dad, I want to be the president or an astronaut, he might have been like, Tony, taper your expectations a little bit, right? So it's such an interesting thing that I was raised with that mentality, but I took it to heart that I actually could achieve absolutely anything I put my mind to. And coming from that background of my father being in union his whole life and my grandparents being immigrants here from Italy, I wasn't brought around people that are entrepreneurial or business owners. So I had to go carve that path out for myself. And I had a dream bigger for me and for my legacy. And that's not something I think you're just able to have. It's something that you're brought up around, and it's a mentality shift. And that sentence, that really changed my life. It's gotten me to where I am and to where I'm going, because I truly do believe I can't achieve anything by my mind to. Growing up with the Italian immigrant parents, I only spoke Italian until I was 4 years old, believe it or not.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And because of that, I had a speech impediment growing up. So I was made fun of for speaking. Since then, I am now a national keynote speaker. I've given a TED talk, and it's just a testament of you can achieve anything you put your mind to, but you're going to have to put the work in to do it. And you need to dream big enough that there is an opportunity to make that outcome possible.
Yeah. Put in the work hard, and it all plays out, right? All right. So that business mindset, what sparked that mindset so early, and what did those early successes and even failures teach you that still guide you today?
I was an entrepreneur as a kid before I knew what that word was. Obviously, I would say in the last decade or so, it's become a little sexier because of social media. Like, entrepreneurship's the cool thing to do. You work for yourself. It's not all glitz. It's not all glamour. It's a lot of hard work. But I've been that entrepreneur since before social media was a thing. I was a kid shoveling snow when I was 12 years old. I never had a snow day. I would go door to door in my neighborhood to make a few extra bucks. It was an opportunity for me to capitalize on. My grandfather, Italian immigrant, he opened up his own pizzeria, and I was able to work there from 11 years old through college. And I got to watch and learn from him as an immigrant, to have this mentality of, I came here with nothing, with no money, didn't know the language, didn't know anybody. And I was still able to create something that provided a livelihood for my family. And I was able to work with him alongside him to learn that immigrant hustle. My grandfather retired when he was 82 years old. And at that point in time, he was still the one making the pizza every day. And now he's 92. This was a decade ago, and he's still as sharp as a tack, and he wishes he could open up another pizzeria,
Wow.
and it's so cool to see that I was brought up around that. And that really propelled me into what I am today, because from the shoveling snow, my grandfather's pizzeria, through high school, I just hustled. I went to Fordham Prep in the Bronx. I was around kids that parents were successful, attorneys and professional industries I never heard of before in my life. Investment banking, what is this? They came for money. So I was able to sell them different things because they had money from mom and dad. And I was just always an entrepreneur. Fast forward to college. I got a degree in mechanical engineering. I went to Manhattan University. But while I was in school, I wasn't satisfied with just being a student. I started my own business when I was a sophomore. It was a lip balm company, Tony's Lip Care, TLC for short. And through all these things that I tried through the years, if there weren't successes in the traditional sense, right? Like the lip balm company I shut down right when I graduated. But through those years, the lessons I learned from what most people would consider a traditional failure has propelled me to the success I have today, because I had an advantage of going through those things before peers my age went through, and that shaped me to where I am by having that hustle from such a young age. And I really believe you're born with it or you're not. It's not something you learn because, again, I didn't get into entrepreneurship because it was sexy. It's all I had to achieve the life that I wanted.
Yeah. It was in your blood, right? And you hustled from whether it was in the Bronx to college to your business at 19, but you've also hustled on social media. And we know social media is a huge platform for you. You are known as the godfather of Instagram. And behind the brand is a real person who we have the privilege of speaking with today. What do you think people misunderstand most about building a personal brand and creating authentic connections online?
I think it's two things. One, how difficult it truly is. And the second part of that, I would say, is they don't often realize the best way to build an authentic, genuine brand is by being you. A lot of times when people start, they think of, what can I do to gain more attention? What can I do to get an audience? What can I do to get people to like me? Don't do any of that. Be you. Plenty of people aren't going to like you, which is normal. It's impossible for everyone to like you. But what ends up happening is by you showing up as your authentic, genuine self day in and day out online, it ends up attracting the people that end up loving you
Hmm.
because they can relate to you. You build genuine rapport by you being your genuine, authentic self. What does this look like for me when I started back in 2016 was when I first made my first Instagram. So we're talking about a decade now, which is even crazy because
Crazy.
funny enough, Rebecca, I thought I was behind back then. Instagram was like 6 years old. I'm like, oh my goodness, we're so behind. I was so ahead of it and you don't realize when you're in it. But when I first started, I had that same question. I said, what type of content can I put out that people would enjoy? I said, you know what? This is not probably the best thing to think because what if I do become bigger? I don't have to become somebody that I'm not in person because of this persona online. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to double down on me. And in the beginning, all I had, because I was working, I didn't, have this entrepreneur business yet. It was just me showcasing things that motivated me. So cars, houses, quotes, I'm big into motivational. I was posting motivational quotes all the time, watches, cigars, scotches, things that I'm passionate and enjoy. And that's how I built my brand. And then I started sprinkling myself in. And me, like you mentioned, I'm an Italian guy from the Bronx. I wear tracksuits. I carry cash on me. I wear my jewelry and I curse. I'm not everyone's cup of tea, but I'm my authentic self. And in the beginning, it was an uphill battle because you have friends and family watching you and they're like, what is he trying to do? And I know what I was doing. I was just on there because I thought there was an opportunity and I was going to see what came from it. But I was always me. And that's a hard thing for a lot of people to do. And they think they need to be someone they're not to be able to maximize social media.
Hmm.
And I'd say it's the complete opposite, especially over the next 5 to 10 years when we have more AI coming out than ever. The
Right.
people that are most authentic and genuine as themselves are going to have the most success in the near future and the long-term future. I really believe that.
Great advice. You've developed an incredible network across business and sports, entertainment, politics, even. What's the secret to building meaningful relationships instead of just collecting contacts?
Actually care. It sounds so simple, but it's so difficult in practice because not enough people genuinely care about the other person they're speaking to. They're always thinking, what's in it for me when I'm talking to them off the rip? And I didn't have that traditional approach when I started because when I first started in business, my whole goal was I'm never retiring. I love the game of business. I love building things. I love making an impact and I love helping people. So for me, it wasn't, okay, I have you in front of me, Rebecca. You can't become a client now. You're wasting my time. I'm going to forget about you. That's commonplace in a lot of businesses, right? For me, it was, okay, Rebecca, we're going to meet for the first time. Now you're one more person that knows who I am, what I offer. Maybe I can add some type of value to you, right? So my whole thing was if I add value to you, maybe it comes back to me in some way, shape, or form elsewhere. Almost like building that good karma, right? So I would take all these meetings and I would ask, hey, Rebecca, who are you looking to connect with? Anyone that I can make an introduction to that'd be valuable for you to generate some business, or maybe your client needs a referral for something. Like, yeah, I'm trying to get in touch with more mortgage professionals. Great. On the spot, I would connect them to 3 mortgage professionals. And I got nothing out of it. I didn't care. It was building that goodwill that just compounded over time. And slowly I became the guy that always got a guy. And that has value because now people come to me for anything. And I'm that first layer of who they're coming to because they have that trust. But for me, one of the biggest things with relationships is staying in touch with people. I don't think enough people do that. And traditionally, we're not taught at a young age to be the one that's reaching out to set things up. I think we see in a lot of modern day, like, oh, I see John out all the time. He tells me he wants to get together, but he never texts me to set it up. Why don't you just reach out to him instead? I was always that person that was okay with being the person to set the thing up. And that's propelled so much success for me because so many relationships would have just died in the tracks if I wasn't like that. And something that I do, which I think is kind of cool. And for those that are listening, just to hear the perspective on what I go through to build these relationships. And I know we'll piggyback into the impact golf outing at some point. To have that many people show up, it's all about the relationships, right? And what I do every Thanksgiving and Christmas, I started doing this right after I graduated college. Okay, so 2016, because once you're out of college, all the kids you went to school with, they live in different states. So you don't see them as
Right.
often. So we were driving up to my grandfather's house at the time. He was up in Fishkill. And I said on Thanksgiving, I'm going to text everybody that I went to school with that I haven't seen in a while and all the people that I worked in my internship with just to check in and wish them a happy Thanksgiving for their family. That first year I texted maybe 40 people, maybe 50 people, no fan, just all friends, people that I'm connected to. Then I did the same thing for Christmas. Long story short, a decade has passed. That list has grown, and I now text 1,600 unique people on Thanksgiving and another 1,600 on Christmas. A
Oh,
lot of them obviously overlap.
wow.
And it takes me
Wow.
the entire day. It's not a copy and paste message. There's no AI automating the send out. It's me sitting on my phone from 8 in the morning till about 9 o'clock at night, and I will text, go through my contact list A through Z. If we have any sort of relationship, I've added value to you, you've added value to me, you've helped me, you've supported me, you showed up to an event, you sponsored my event, you were a vendor at the golf outing. Anything you've done to positively impact my journey in the past year, you get a personalized text from me. And it goes such a long way now that people see how much larger I've become because they're like, holy shit, you took the time out to send me a message. I've been doing this for decades. So
Wow.
it's nothing new to me. It's just grown to the amount of people that I have at my fingertips that are in my actual ecosystem that I just want to show them I'm appreciative. And it's not transactional to me. I really do appreciate all the love and the support that people give me. So I think that's a great way that I've been able to keep a lot of relationships through the years as my network has grown.
Well, I know our relationship is budding. We just met this year, so I maybe I'll look forward to a holiday text this year for
There
the
you go.
first time,
Exactly. Yep.
right? Wow, just add it on to the list of, 1,600
hmm
others. That's amazing,
100%.
Tony. Wow. Well, and speaking of relationships, we at Blythedale are so thankful to have you on our side. Your Impact Golf outing has become one of the largest charity golf events in the region. What inspired you to create it, and how did Blythedale become the cause you wanted to champion?
Two great questions, two different answers. First part of this is I started the first golf outing. This year was the fifth one. So we're talking about 5 years ago. And at the time, I was actually only 13 months into being a full-time business owner. I quit and worked for myself February 2019. And then very early 2020, I said, you know what? I want to host a golf outing. Now, I want to put in clear perspective here. I never golfed before I set out on this mission to host a golf outing. I just said, I know a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs now. I know they like to golf. I think I can put together a golf outing. It'll be fun, networking, great. That was the expectation I had in the beginning. I went to my accountants. They've been in business a little bit longer. They're a little bit older than me. I said, hey, you guys have a great Rolodex of other businesses. You guys golf. Maybe we collaborate on doing a golf outing. That's how this idea came about. Now, we then went to Pelham Bay Split Rock. We knew the GM there. We put the deposit down to host the outing June of 2020. Now, what do we all know happened March of 2020? The pandemic. Lockdown happened. So as this went on, the GM was like, hey, guys, listen, the event's not going to be able to happen this year. We'll have to push it back till further notice. It'll be sometime next year. We don't even have a date yet. Okay, no problem. I said, this is probably a good time for me to learn how to golf. So
Yeah.
I got into golf. I'm a kid from the Bronx. That wasn't really a sport growing up around me. So it was me starting from scratch. And during that time of me learning, I went to a lot of golf outings because I'm a big networker. I like to connect. And everything I go to event-wise, I always take note on what was good, what was bad, how can I make my events a little bit better from that experience. And I treat golf outings the same way. I truly believed if I gave the golfers a better experience, I'll raise even more for the charity. And I said, I have the network to do so. So what can I do to make this different? So the first year, the claim to fame was 18 vendors on 18 holes. Every hole you went to, we wanted to have some type of vendor there to experience, from a chiropractor to hand-rolled cigars included, to shots, to, burgers on the hole, to different experiences of local businesses getting to expose themselves to the audience and the golfers getting to connect to them. Everything's included. You pay for nothing. And I said, you know what? I want to make a really cool swag bag for the golfers. So what did I do? I reached out to all my business network to get sponsors to cover different items. So even that first year, the swag bag had like 18 items in it. It was crazy. You got a cigar, a
Awesome.
cutter, a lighter, a bag, a shirt, a hat, a mug, golf tees, towel. And it just makes it like, wow, you actually care about me. And I said, well, how can I take it a little bit further? One thing I saw that's a big miss with golf outings is when you pay for your ticket, wherever you paid for, let's say I'm the 76th golfer to buy a ticket, that's where my lineup in the golf order is. There's no thought about who I'm being paired with. So for me, as someone that's not a great golfer, but I'm more of a networker and connector, I'd rather have somebody that I can mingle with and have a good time, enjoy a cigar and a good conversation. And yeah, we'll hit a few balls, but it's not competitive. I was paired with sometimes with older gentlemen. They don't drink. They don't smoke cigars. They're scratch golfers. And it just wasn't a great time. You're stuck with them for 4 hours. So I strategically pair every foursome that's together on the hole with the two foursomes that head to them and the two foursomes behind them based on their golf ability. Can they get along and can they do business together? And that's made the experience of the golfers bumping into each other that much better because we had the first 2 years, 144 golfers. So that's two foursomes on every hole. In the last 3 years, we've had 288 golfers. That's two foursomes on every single hole. So you're going to be you're starting with two people, and then you're going to be bumping into them and hitting, and the people will be bumping into you. So I try to think of all those little things. And then I said, you know what? What do? I network. I host networking events. Why not make the after dinner into a networking reception where people actually want to come to attend that didn't golf, but they want to mingle and network with other business owners? So the first year we had 250 people show up to the evening and only like 6 vendors. And then it's just grown and grown year over year, as we both know. But the reason I picked Blythedale, I actually didn't pick Blythedale the first year. I didn't know about you guys the first year. After our outing, though, we went to another outing, the Acrisure, hosted by Carmine Lapolis at Cybernoy, and you guys were the benefactor. And, you guys spoke, and they had a family speak. And it was me and my partner, Fran, and our accountants, Tim and Kenny, with us for the evening reception there. And we all started tearing, through the heartfelt story that the family shared and the victory the daughter overcame. And we're like, wow, this is so amazing, the work that they're doing, and it's local. And then we started learning more. We started talking to Carmine about it. Carmine put us in touch with you guys. You guys gave us a tour. And ever since then, we were pretty much sold, because we were then looking for something that was a local charity and who in our network would have the most positive effect to that charity. And most of our network are parents. So for you guys to be able to help kids, whether they have had a kid that's had an issue or not, it's still a subject that they feel passionate about making an impact with. And we said, you know what, this is the charity we want to benefactor. And, since the first year has been a great partnership. And like I said, going through those halls, it's just so heartbreaking. And I really do believe I want to give every kid the chance to be able to live as a kid, get to enjoy their childhood. That's what we do this for.
Thank you, Tony. That's really great to hear. And what would you want someone listening to this episode know about the children and families Blythedale serves?
That they're never expecting this to happen. I don't think anyone in their lives are expecting their kid to have one of these situations that you guys are helping at the hospital. So the family's never prepared for it. This is not something you forecast and expect and prepare and think your kid's ever going to go through it. But when their kid does go through it, the love and care and the people you guys have show up in the hospital, the professionals, what you guys pour into them, knowing this is an experience they would have never expected to have, and you guys help them maintain a positive mindset throughout, and also give them that genuine love, always answering questions. And I've had the privilege to speak to a few families and kids, my age, that have been through Blythedale at some point, and every single one of them have said nothing but fantastic things about how you guys care from the moment they enter to the moment they leave, always happy to answer as many questions they have, never putting any negative thoughts on them, and really giving them that hope. And I think that's the biggest thing Blythedale provides, is that hope that you're not alone. We care, and we're going to be here to make a difference to the best that we possibly can. And if we can't make a difference, nobody else can. And I think that's so powerful. And that's why I'm so passionate about being able to help you guys, because of the difference you guys are making through the work you're doing.
Thank you. Yeah, Blythedale really is a magical place, but we know it's the supporters like you that help sprinkle that magic along with our doctors and our nurses and our team of just amazing clinicians. And yeah, it's a pretty great place. And you said you've met some of the children and families whose lives are touched by the hospital. Is there a specific moment or story that reminded you why all of the months of planning and hard work for the golf outing are worth it?
It's funny. I just didn't realize how many people in my network had some tie to Blythedale. I think that was the biggest wow moment, because like I said, I mentioned doing this because, one, you guys were local, and two, for the kids. Like, again, a lot of my network is parents, but I didn't realize how many parents and people I knew had some story with you guys. I have a friend whose wife works with you guys. I have a friend whose cousin went through Blythedale. One of our vendors, she was a baby at Blythedale. So she reached out to me after the outing last year. How can I get involved? Like, the amount of community outreach we've gotten because of supporting Blythedale, and the tie and the love that other people have for Blythedale, that they want to be a part of this event to be able to make a bigger impact for you guys. And I think that's what makes this partnership so special, that it's that two-way street of, you guys have such a fantastic name locally that people want to support our event knowing it's supporting you guys. So I think that's something really cool that I've been able to see through the last couple of years of the outreach of, hey, this is great, you guys do it for them. How can I support my niece went through Blythedale for 2 years, or I did this, and it's just been so amazing to see.
Yeah, and it's so fascinating at your golf outing where you have over 1,000 people attending and they're golfing throughout the day and they're partying in the evening and they're having a good time and they're eating and they're drinking and they're doing whatever after a long day of golf. And even some people come after the golf part of it just to attend the evening celebration. But at the end of the day, it's going back to supporting Blythedale. What is the biggest lesson you've learned about bringing together people of all backgrounds and experiences around this shared purpose?
I think a lot of people focus on making events about things that they think people that they know would like and come and support because, oh, I know Tony, I'm friends with Tony. So they always cater to, oh, if I do this, I know, my friends are going to come and support because it's me. I don't think like that. I only focus on making the experience of the event so good that if you didn't know who I was or anything about me, that you're like, I cannot miss this event. This sounds incredible. I've never been to a golf outing like this. And you don't have to know anything about me. But really that compound effect from the people that show up, they spread it like wildfire. Wow, you got to come to this. I've never been to a golf outing like this. I've never seen an after party like this. And that is what makes this spread so exponentially year over year, because it's not me having to tell you and sell you to come. It's the people that attended that are selling it themselves now. And most people don't think that way. They just think, oh, I'll do a charity event. People are going to show up. They're going to spend a few bucks as a charity thing. Great. I go for big or I don't do it at all. And I wanted to make a splash and make this something that's unique and nobody else can put a candle to in the local or national level.
Well, we're very excited to see how that impact continues to grow. And we're so thankful at Blythedale, just year after year, the support that you give us. It's so meaningful. So thank you. And I think I might know the answer to this next question, but what is one piece of advice you give someone who wants to be successful while also making a meaningful impact in their community? And I think something, correct me if I'm wrong, but after listening to you already through this episode, it's about building those connections and maintaining those relationships. You've
Yeah,
kind of
I was just
talked
going to
about
say,
that a little bit.
yeah, it's really relationships to me. I think that is the biggest thing I can give to most people, whether you're a business owner, you're a professional, you have a career. It's just building genuine relationships. And the easiest way to do so is to only focus on how can I give that person value and not caring if you get value back. And I think that's a hard thing for a lot of people to do. But in the beginning, I didn't care. And it just compounded into me giving so much goodwill that eventually goodwill came back to me. I'm in it to help other business owners, entrepreneurs, and professionals grow and make an impact at the same time. And I think those two things just go hand in hand so great.
They sure do. Looking ahead, what legacy do you hope to leave, not just through Why Not You Media or social media, but through the lives you've impacted?
I was a good guy. I just want people to say, when I'm gone, that's how I think of stuff that, Tony tried his best to help me. Tony made a difference in my life. Tony was a good dude. Tony always said the things that he said he was going to do. Tony always stayed true to his word. Tony stayed in touch. Tony was genuine. Tony, was always willing to help whenever he could help, how he could help. I think those are probably the biggest things that I want, to hear when I'm looking over other people one day. And I think I'm trying day by day to do my best to achieve that, both in a professional sense and with the philanthropy side, because I genuinely do believe if you can help people, you have a mission to do so. And I feel like that's my calling right now, is to be able to make an impact in the lives of the kids at Blythedale, but also all the businesses and entrepreneurs that I have in my ecosystem, my network.
Mm. Well, you're certainly doing something right. So thank you for all you do. We can't say thank you enough to you. It's just
Appreciate
incredible. And
it.
it's so cool hearing your story, how, you started here and now you're here. And it's just, it's really interesting. It's admirable. And I can't wait to see where it all just continues to grow over the years. And our doors at Blythedale are always open. So come over and say hi. I know where we go to you at the golf outing and we see you here and there. And certainly we're thankful to have you on as a guest of our podcast. But yeah, we'd love to see you back at the hospital too, if you ever want to come by and say hi to some of our, the gang over there.
It's just a really great reminder of how precious life is. And I think, going through the halls with you guys, it puts things in perspective. I'm always work, work, work. I don't do anything but work, really, because I do love work. So it's not like, oh, no, what was me? I enjoy my work. That's why I choose to work. But to put in perspective, like, when you wake up every morning, you can walk, something as simple as that. And you see the kids that aren't able to do that and you're helping them get through that. It just puts in perspective how lucky we are and how grateful we are to have each day at full capacity. So I think you guys are doing a great thing by making a difference and helping those people, and also putting in perspective, to the people that do get to walk through those doors, how grateful you are if you are at a healthy capacity. So
Yes.
thank you guys for everything you guys do, because, I'm a small piece of the impact you guys are making, but you guys are really the ones making the true impact. And I'm happy to be a benefactor and support the best way that I possibly can. It's through my voice and my platform. So that's what I try to do for you guys.
Thanks, Tony. All right, one more question. How would you describe the meaning of hope?
It's a good question. To me, it's a feeling of hope. To me is almost like you have a feeling where that there's a possibility that it's going to end the way it should end, the right way, right? And I think there's different things that people do in life, for any situation they have in their lifetime, that either sway them to have more hope or to have less hope. And I think the work that you guys are doing with the positive staff that you guys have, the caring nature, the love, the all that, the top professionals, the doctors and everyone, and the nurses, you guys are choosing to make a difference by being that positive light throughout the situation, by showing that there is hope here, where there are plenty of hospitals across the nation, kids are not hospital related, that do not provide that hope. They're a little more abrasive. They don't show that positive attitude. I think hope may be a mental or mentality of a thing, but I believe hope does manifest itself in actually creating that positive outcome. So when you are hoping and believing you're going to feel better and not be sick anymore, I think there's synapses in your body that over time will help your body heal. Versus if you have that negative outlook and no hope, I think it does a little more detriment for that person, both physically and mentally during that situation. So I think hope is such a powerful thing when you don't think there's any hope left, when you don't think there's a possibility it's going to work out. And hope is one of the greatest things that I think you guys give out at that hospital that I don't think it's talked about enough, because obviously you guys make an impact and make the difference in the kids' lives. But before that happens, you guys are providing the peace of mind that we have the best team possible here. We're going to put our all into this, and we're going to make this the best situation out of what we have in front of us. And I
Yeah.
think that hope is a tremendous thing that you guys bring to the table for those families, that are going through this very difficult time.
That's wonderful to hear from you. Thank you very much, Tony. Anything else you want to add?
Just on the golf outing again, just so you guys can know the perspective on the size of it. We have 288 golfers spread on 2 golf courses. That's 36 holes. And during the golf, we had this year 65 unique vendors on the golf course. In the evening reception this year, statistically, we had over 1,500 attendees, and we had another 65 unique vendors, because the vendors from golf are not the same ones at the evening. So if you're a golfer, you're pretty much having over 100 different vendors throughout the day. And I think it's so cool to see that. And I want to say the stats because it's purely built through community. And I'm just so excited to see what the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years hold, because if we do also get the bandwidth of larger businesses coming in at some point, we're going to take this to the moon, because what we're able to do with just the community so far has been honestly more than I thought would have been possible, to be honest with you. And I have big goals and big aspirations, but the amount of time that it's taken to get to where we are has been so short in the grand scheme of things. And to see that, it's just so cool. And it just shows, Tony, keep going. You can keep making
Keep
it bigger.
going.
People want to be a part of it.
Keep
So
going. Yeah.
day
We're
by day,
all
that's what we do.
we're all cheering and rooting for you, and it's going to be just great. And you're right. Community is everything. And we see that impact of a positive and a strong community at Blythedale too. So it is. That's it. You're exactly right. Community is everything at the end of the day.
Yeah, community makes a difference. You're able to, what was that saying with the kid? You can raise a kid with a village, right? It takes a village to raise a kid. And that's kind
Yeah.
of what I've seen this event become. I
Yeah.
get the village together for this one day every year just to make an impact, as simple as that. And I'll give you the experience. You just show up willing to spend a few bucks to help support a great cause, and we'll make an impact together. And I truly believe that the more people you have together on that journey, the bigger impact you can make. And that's what we're doing day by day.
Thanks, Tony. Good stuff.
Anytime.
All
Thank you,
right.
Rebecca, for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course. And if you have any ideas for future topics, we'd love to hear from you. Podcast at Blythedale.org. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast and like and follow us on social media. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.